TST wrapped up. So the soccer tournament, yes, that's what it's called. It wrapped up with the U.S. women defeating Bumpy Pitch FC 3-0. So that is attacking thirds Jen Beattie taking down McCall Zerboni, another A3 player on Bumpy Pitch. It was 3-0. So now the U.S. women, they win $1 million. It's $1 million. It's winner takes all. So that is back-to-back years for U.S. women to defend their crown and win TST. There were a lot of superstars on this U.S. women's roster. Heather O'Reilly, Carly Lloyd, a number of former UNC players that absolutely balled out. Former UNC and NWSL goalkeeper Lindsay Harris, she kept a clean sheet in this final. She also won TST's Golden Glove. UNC alum Tessa Delarose, or not alum, excuse me, she's still there. She scored the second goal in this final. She also won TST last year. Then she won a national championship with UNC, and now she just won another TST. There's also UNC's players, Evelyn Shores. She scored the third goal that was assisted by Heyo. Aaron, you got to be at this tournament as a North Carolina guy, a UNC guy. I mean, it's pretty cool to see these players absolutely crushing it. But from boots on the ground, what did you experience at TST?
This is the third year of TST, and I cannot overstate how much I love this tournament. I think this is the future of American soccer to me. The way that it's so authentic. It's such a street feel. The crowds, even though it was rain, I was there for 3 days. It was raining 95% of the time I was there, but the crowds they showed up. They were raucous. They loved it. I think they broke an attendance record this year once more. The quality of the football was incredible.
People in attendance.
Yeah.
42,000 for last year. Huge.
It was packed. The concourse, I went in the morning, I came back in the evening. Every single time I went, the concourse was packed. They do a fantastic job with amenities, with food, everything. It's just like a big party atmosphere. It's like a block party with street soccer. It's everything you'd really want if you're a soccer fan. And the quality, like I was getting at, the quality of the football, the soccer was so good. And this U.S. women's team, it was so stacked. It makes no sense. I don't know how many World Cups, if you put each player with a World Cup, I don't know how many they had, but it's too many. Big shout out to Casey Lloyd. She is one of my favorite women's players of all time. I wish that she had a longer professional career. She chose to go the opposite direction, out of the way, but she's a fantastic coach. Her kids are already ballers, by the way. But Casey Lloyd is one of those. Casey Noguera, Casey Lloyd. When she was at UNC, she and Tobin Heath were my favorite pairing to watch of all time. And she is such a baller. She was cooking all tournament. I do want to shout out Bumpy Pitch. The mix of players that they had. I really like the mix of players that a lot of these teams had, where it's young national team players, established, retired professionals, older professionals. Yuki Nagasato was on this Bumpy Pitch team. Yeah. We already mentioned McCall Zerboni, but I want to shout out specifically Scotland Antonucci. I think she's a U17 national team player, but she was so clean on the ball, so technical, unafraid of anything. The quality across the tournament was brilliant. I want to shout out Austin Rise as well, but this U.S. women's team really deserved to win, but the quality everywhere was fantastic.
So many players, Yuki Nagasato being one of them, said that TST was more fun, more stressful to some extent than a World Cup, competing in that, because of the way that TST is set up. It's 7v7. It's 2 20-minute halves, and then you always play this extra time where you just have
There's always stakes.
There's always stakes, and it doesn't matter how much you're losing by. You can still win in that TST time at the end, which is so fun. It makes it you're exactly right. You're playing pickup, or you're playing in the schoolyard, and it's finally the bell rings and you're all right, we've got 5 minutes left before we have to go back in for class. Next player to score, or next player to score with their head. Just some crazy rules that go into it, and you could see it. It's also very interesting to watch during TST that at the start of the tournament, which players, not necessarily teams, but which individuals are still acting like it's 11v11, or they have the tactics or the mindset of 11v11. And it's you can't hold on to the ball that quick. You got to get it out faster from you. You have to move the ball, because 7v7
You stretch the field completely. You don't have to
And
worry
it's a big field.
Yeah, I think
It's a
that's where
big
the
deal,
fun
too.
comes in across the rosters. Like we were mentioning, like Yuki Nagasato in this, and like this is a player that I think is almost as used to playing in that kind of tempo, like just quick touches and getting the ball out, versus like maybe players who weren't used to playing that way throughout their careers. And just like looking at the U.S. women and just having the balance across that roster as well, from like all of these like incredible veterans who have won literally the highest trophies, biggest trophies of all time on the biggest stages, combined with like these up and comers who are ultimately scoring the game winners. I in no way would look at like these tournaments as developmental like paths, but like I also love that there's a little bit of a concept here of like developmental tournament. Like why not? Like kind of weave it into all of that. And I think if you are some of these younger players, like in Evelyn Shores, like these are just things that are continuing to like keep your player profile just like in the highlight reels, just like we're talking about it on A3 today. Like these are just like this is just another thing for it to kind of be utilized in that sense. So, and it's just like going to keep growing. Like honestly, like TST has grown. The numbers are there in terms of the viewership, in terms of teams that are like entering to be part of the fold. I mean, you look at just kind of the tail end of what was it, World Sevens, like that's also just like another thing that we just like came off of to see, where it's just like between club versus club. So like you see this concept, this just like it's a very fun thing, and there's something that people always want in on. They always want in on the fun. And so it's not too surprising for me to see that, TST, then we see something like World Sevens get like born, like be birthed out of like a similar concept, and then add their own kind of twists to it, add their own kind of prize pool. And I would imagine that moving forward, like this is just going to continue to get bigger. That concept too of just sort of like being a viewer or being in in the audience and kind of feeling part of that action, like having that sort of access feel to it as well, I think has also been really, really exciting. So I don't know, maybe another dynasty in the works for US women. Like we'll see.
I'm really glad you mentioned the development aspect, Sandra, because it's such a cool thing and such a unique thing to me, where you've got an incoming freshman to UNC playing with Hayo, playing with Carly Lloyd. That's incredible experience. You're playing in front of big crowds. You're playing for real stakes against people who, some of them might need this money for real. Yeah. And those are the stakes I think that really change the professional game. It's like you're not playing against someone who's out there for fun necessarily. You're playing against someone who has to feed their family. And that changes things. And it's such an important aspect for young players to see and to experience. And I love it all around.
Even just having that $1 million prize tag on this tournament makes the stakes so much higher, because then every single team is like, it's not just for pride. It's not just like, oh, let's go have fun, which a lot of times that's where you see something set up like this, a 7v7 small-sided, which means you're also not going to get players like Hayo and Carly Lloyd, who are coming out of retirement, at Ali Krieger, to play in something like this, because it's not worth it. Now, when they're absolutely crushing and winning, it might be a little worth it. Plus, you get $1 million on the line. But we're talking about the development, these young players, some of these veterans that are superstars, World Cup champions, Olympians. That is the ideal roster makeup, right? Because you need players that are obviously very good on the ball, which is someone like Hayo, Carly Lloyd, Ali Krieger, who are just going to be so composed. But then you also need young 20-year-olds that are just going to run around and give you a little bit of energy. And it's, to me, the roster makeup of this tournament is one of the hardest things to do, because you have to get players from all different walks and different styles that can play multiple positions, because you're not just a forward, not just a defender. You have to be able to do it all. I think your goalkeeper is also really important, because you have to be another player that is possessing out of the back and helping your team keep it. So it's not just any keeper or any players that can compete and let alone win TST.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the keepers, because we have to shout out Lindsay Harris. You mentioned her earlier, UNC alum. She is the TST GOAT. The first year when the U.S. women played in the men's division, she made so many ridiculous saves. She made such a name for herself. Last year, she was fantastic. This year, fantastic again. And you talked about players that can play multiple positions. Gotham alum Mana Shim. She jumps in goal for when they go to 4v4. She tosses the gloves on. She is an incredible player all around. They had a brilliant roster makeup, like you said, the experienced players, the players who were super, super comfortable on the ball in tight spaces, the players that can run, all different mixes. And just the way that this tournament is set up is so much fun to watch. And the U.S. women, I think, have nailed the formula for winning this tournament, the type of roster makeup.
That's what I'm saying. A little bit of a dynasty in the making. Like they're very clearly the team to beat when it comes to this tournament.
All right, guys, could we potentially see this take another step forward? Aaron, like what would advance TST? What's another wrinkle that we could throw into this tournament, or where we could see it go in years moving forward? Because we're only in year 3 of it, and it's already grown so much. What's next?
I could see a couple different ways that this progresses, like a TST league where there's a full 77 league that plays a full season. Then you have playoffs and you have the finals. And then maybe those teams qualify for TST proper. Bless you, Sandra, by the way. TST proper in the tournament. Maybe that's how you get qualified for the actual $1 million tournament. You play a full season, and the top 8 teams, the top whatever teams in that regular season, then go to TST for the $1 million. You could have several tournaments. You could have regional tournaments. I think that this formula, we've seen kind of this formula get really popular recently, like Kings League over in Europe, Gerard Piquet's thing. We've seen the World Sevens. This number 7 aside is so much fun. Yes. It's perfect. And I think the applications, the extrapolations for it are honestly endless.
Yeah, there's some crazy rules.
I want chaos. It's already limited. It's already only 7 players. It's already only 20 minutes. What if no yellows, just like straight sin bins? Like 1 minute sin bins. Like just bring it.
I don't hate the idea of sin bins. When you first said no yellows, I was like, everybody's getting 2-footed in. But then you said the sin bin part.
Just sin bins.
I like that, Sandra.
I do. Yeah. You already take players off, so it throws a little wrinkle.
Cautionable
exactly.
Cautionable offense. Get out of here for at least a minute, like 90 seconds.
I love that.
Like, one of my favorite things about TST is the chaos of it and the rules, right?
More
like
of
that.
it.
Yes, more chaos, more rules. Well, congratulations to the U.S. women for winning back-to-back TST championships, taking home $1 million. Congratulations.